Hello and welcome to this new episode of A Teacher's Journey with your host Robert Corio Jr. I hope that everyone is having a great day. I'm recording this Thursday, August 13th, as I'm almost about less than a month left for me to start school. So we're about less than a month until school starts for where I live in New Jersey. I know some of you that are listening may have already started school or about to start school, and some of you and some of you are just seeing what's going on and just curious about. Some of you may be doing starting out just with remote learning or hybrid learning, where it's a combination of in-person and remote, or just in person. So I was thinking about this and just looking at some of the stuff that's going on. And so far this summer as a tutor, I have experienced both remote virtual learning and in-person learning with everything that's going on. So I just like to give my opinions about it, to compare and contrast it from my experience and what I've seen so far, and what I like about virtual and in person, and what could be and what's similar, what's different, and just to give you an idea of what I'm feeling. And maybe if some of you feel the same way, or if you disagree, write in the comments and comment on it, and let me know what you think of it, because I like to hear from some of the teachers and see what you think, and just see what you think is going to be going on. And also, I think for me, I like to give you my perspective, as maybe some of you are unsure what it's going to look like next year, whether you're doing all remote learning, or if you're going to be doing a sub type of hybrid, where you're going to be doing some remote and some in person, or you're just going to do all in person. So I've been doing in person and virtual learning, remote teaching this summer as a tutor, and I like to give you my perspective about it. So what this summer for me has been so far has been just been working as a tutor. I've been working as a tutor for a learning center, where I've been doing a combination of both virtual on Zoom and in person. And there's been some days where I've been just doing remote teaching via Zoom, and there has been some days where I've been doing in person and virtual in the same day. And there's some days where I've just gone into the learning center. So I've gotten a perspective of it and experiencing it all. And for me, just giving you my opinion about it, what some similarities, what are some differences, what's good, and then really just give you, and then let you think about it, and see if you agree or not. And we can, that's always a good discussion. So I'm going to start with virtual. And what the virtual I like about it, what it's good, is that for me as a teacher, I don't have to get into my car and travel to a place. So all I have to do is just make sure I have a laptop that's working, I have internet, and have internet access, and have everything, all the books and everything, everything uploaded already before I start, and have all the materials already. So time wise, I don't have to get up earlier or have to get in my car and drive. It's really, I mean, for a lot of you that are working from home, you probably have noticed that, where you could just get up, you get dressed, you're in your house. As long as you have your computer, you have your camera, you have internet's working, you have everything's the same. You have it. You see students' camera. They see you, and you're able to go over things the same, just like if you were in school. So that's one thing that I like about virtual learning, is that it saves time. And then also one of the other things is that there's a lot of things you can do on it. There's a lot of tools you can use. Zoom has been great. I've used Zoom a lot, and what I like about Zoom is that I can share my screen with the student, be able to annotate right on like a whiteboard or write on the document, And students can do the same thing where they can write on the document, they can share, they can also screen share work as well. If they have work online, they can screen share it, and I can see the work that they're working on, and they can see my work. And that way it's a good way, it's another way to communicate. And with Google Classroom, it is great because I can just go onto Google Classroom, assign something, and then they can do the work, submit it. I can make comments on it, and then they can see the comments right there and then. So it's another way for them to really get. It's another good way to communicate and also to assign work, and you know that the work's going to be done. You can talk to them, and when I'm tutoring, it's more of a one-on-one basis, which is great for everyone. There's a lot more. There's definitely one-on-one attention. That's what I've been doing virtually. It's more of the one-on-one. I know there's some virtual sessions where it's in groups sometimes. I haven't done that, but I've been doing the one-on-one, which is great because I can then see the student what the student's working on. I can ask the students questions, and it's more personalized in that sense, where all my attention is on them, and that's another thing that I like about it too. I think for some kids that might need more of that one-on-one attention and they need more of that guidance and direction, they get that from there because I can just work with them one on one. I can go over things with them and have more of a one on one personalized lesson for them. And that's something that I feel that's really helpful. Um, and I think definitely with the internet and with everything that's going on, I think it's just another alternative with internet, with the remote learning. I think it's going to be something down the road where a lot more people are going to possibly choose to do remote learning where they can just go from their house, they can just learn from their home, and then they can go out afterwards and then be able to work on their own. And I think it's for a lot of people who have that intrinsic inner motivation, they don't really they can just do they do their work on their own. It's great because they can work at their own speed online. They can have something assigned, they work on it on their own speed, and they can figure it out. If they have trouble, they can just contact the teacher, and then they can just get on a Zoom or a Google Meet session and talk through it. That's one of the things those are the things that I like about doing the virtual lessons. um, I think it's good for students that are very self motivated. They know they can do things on their own, and they have and it's still like that personalized one on one where they can see the teacher, and the teacher can see them as well. So it's very more of a one on one, and then it just saves time. So I think that's one of the things that's important now is being able to save time and be able to work efficiently for everyone. So after this, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about some of the things that I notice and like about doing the virtual in-person learning from what my experiences are. All right, so now I'm going to go over what I've experienced so far from when doing the lessons in person at the center at in person during this time as a tutor over the summer. One of the things that I notice is that I a lot of it is also more personal. It's also very personalized. Where where I'm at, it's fewer students. Where I'm mostly working one on one, or maybe with one or two, or maybe with one or two students. I'm not really working with like four or five students in a group now. I've been working mostly with one on one, and it's something where also that's a good thing as well for some of the students. They can get more help. There's more of a personalized type of aspect. I can just work with them and really focus on what they're working on. I can also see what they're working on and see what they're writing, and I think that's also very good. Another thing that I like about the personalized when when I'm in person with them is that I can see what they're working on. Sometimes when they're on virtual, I've noticed that students may shut their cameras off, and I can't really see what they're working on, and I can't see what they're doing. It might be just more for privacy reasons. I'm not sure, But when I'm at the center, I can see what they're working on. I can see how they're working. I can see what I can tell what they're thinking, and just see and it helps me to determine what they're working on and how they're working, and see what answers are getting correct and what I need to review with them. That's one thing that I've noticed, is that it's good in ways where I can just get them, and it's more of an instant type of thing too, because sometimes there might be someone that has doesn't have great internet access, someone that doesn't have like a computer, like my computer. It's not doesn't have the greatest amount of storage space. It's very used for basic stuff. So sometimes when I'm loading books or PDF files, it takes a while for it to load up because of the storage space. The internet access isn't as can be a little on and off at times by me. Some students have, if there's like, especially if there's a storm. Last week there was a storm, and I had some students that their powers went out. They went out for a little bit and then went back on. And sometimes some students have trouble accessing the camera, knowing how to turn it on. That's also another thing too. It can just be some delays in just with the connection, internet access, books, finding out answers too. Like 'cause sometimes I have to use another device in order to look at my answers, look at the answer sheets, so that way I can determine whether the student answered the question correctly or not. So that's also could be a tough thing where I'm at the center, I have the answer book right next to me. They hand me their answer sheet. I write their answer. I just mark their answer whether it's correct or not. Then review anything with them that they need. And basically, it's a little bit quicker in that sense, and then I'm just going over with them, and then I can also hear them read out loud. Sometimes like if they're reading, it might be a little connection or a glitch where like I might not hear a word, where they might just be reading it but then they actually said it but I didn't hear it for some reason. So that's also a challenge as well. So like it's just like now while I'm at the center, I can hear them read more fluently. It's more like a lot. It's live. I'm with them one on one in person, and then I can just hear them read, and they can answer the questions, and then being able to figure out, and then I can just automatically see what they did, and then see what, and then I can work with them one on one. Also, I think it's definitely going to be much clean. It's when I'm at the center, it's much cleaner because we're spraying. I'm spraying everything. The students are spraying the pages that they worked on. I'm spraying the outer edges of the books that they work on. The seating area for myself and the students. Also, I'm spraying and cleaning the answer sheets after I answer books after I use it, and it's gonna be very clean it's very clean at the center. And I don't and I again I don't and I'm not worried about it. So because I feel like the center is just so clean now, and we're really just we're using, again, like the students are sitting separately. We're not just jam packed with each other. So it's also more like now I think students have space in which they can work, and no one's on top of each other with everything that's going on. So I think for some students that can be beneficial, so they feel like they have space in which they can work. They're not having someone on top of them all the time. So that could be a good thing for some of the kids. And then I think for some of them, it's just they like the one-on-ones better than the online because they get more. It's more personalized. If they have a question about something, they can just ask it immediately, rather than if they're working on something later on, they may not be able to ask it because it might not be access, or there might be something that they didn't get a chance to work on, or like it's just a more quicker response to their questions where I might have to go back, and there might be internet connections if I was doing an online session. So that's some of the things that I like about the in-person session so far. I feel that it's helpful where it's more like a one-on-one connection. There's more instantaneous access, and where students can get better answers, and more personalized, and get also a personalized session where they're working on books, they're writing down using pencil and paper, pen and paper. Where some kids virtually may just annotate it on the whiteboard or online, where for me, they also can use pencil and paper at their home, because that's and then so that way they can get used to writing on pencil and paper. But I just feel that it's one of those things where I just want to, that's just something that these are things that I have noticed so far while doing this. I think both of these are effective. It just depends on who the student is. Some students may do better online when they're working on their own. Some students may do better where there's someone there in person that they can work with and be able to help, and then they can get instant help. Because I noticed when I was doing last year at school, where if a student had a question after the session, excuse me, and I wasn't online, they would have to answer the question via on Google Classroom, or they would request a Zoom meeting. And then if I was doing something, it would take a little bit more time. Where if it's in person and they're working on something and they're having trouble, they can ask me right away. So I think a lot of this is just we don't know how this is going to go. I mean, what is this going to look like? I'm curious myself. I mean, to see like, I mean, there might be some teachers that are doing remote only, and it might be really hard for them. It's hard to say like which is going to be better. Is it going to be just remote only learning? Is it going to be a mix of remote and in person, or is it just going to be in person? I mean, I think this is just going to be a new challenge or new thing for everyone right now because we're all learning this. I mean, is remote learning, online learning going to be a new thing going forward? I mean, that some people have been saying that. Is this going to be new, or is this going to or is this going to be a new way of learning, or is this or the hybrid? Is that going to be a new way of learning? I mean, is all this going to be like changing the way we learn as students learn, as teachers teach? Is this going to be different? Like how is this going to work? How is this going to be at the end? Because I remember seeing advertisements years about 20 something like 20 about 20 25 years ago, 20 30 years ago. This was like back in the 1990s, where it was the University of Phoenix, and the University of Phoenix advertised online learning where you didn't have to be on campus to learn and this was for college. So it was where you were learning. But then I remember at the time like thinking, how can you learn online? That sounds a little weird. But now, you think about it, this is 2020. Colleges and universities are going to be might be starting remote learning. Are going to be starting. Some colleges and universities are just going to have students do remote learning to start the year, where they're not going to be on campus. So I mean, it changes over time. And what is the what is education going to look like in K through 12 in 20 years from now? Like, is this going to be where some kids might have access, or like I think it was a company, was it Connect Education Connection or something, where it's an online learning tool where K through 12 students can learn about it and can go online and do remote learning, just like some kids may be doing this year to start the school year. I mean, it's just it's I wonder. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it's gonna look like in 20 years from now, 10, 20, 30 years from now. I mean, is this gonna be is remote learning and all this gonna be a new way of learning, or is this gonna be? I mean, is this in a way is it gonna change how teachers teach and how students learn? I don't know. So I think that's a good question for us to think about. What do we all think? I mean, you can make a comment on my Twitter and make a comment on my Instagram. Let me know what you think. I mean, I'd be more than happy to hear your thoughts. You can follow me, and you can just search Robert Corio Jr. I'll be on there, and you can then connect with me there. So again, also, if you feel that this show brings value to you, please make a contribution, as the link will be in the description. So once again, thank you very much for listening. I appreciate all of your time. Stay safe. Hopefully, for those of you that are teaching right now, that everything is going well to start with. Just keep going. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. That's the only thing I can do. I mean, sometimes I'm in uncertainty right now. I don't know what's going to happen for me this coming school year, where I'm going to be, what I'm going to be teaching, but I just got to keep going forward, and then hopefully bring I'll do what I can to bring value to everyone. So again, thank you for listening. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next time.